Guys, I always try to keep the mood of these video reports very light in the over 2,500 of these I've done over the last 6 years or so, because I've always viewed sports as the candy store in life. Listen, when I first embarked on my journalism career some 25 years ago, I'm in college at Temple University and I'm taking all the normal news oriented journalism courses, public affairs reporting, news reporting, investigative journalism. And then it dawned on me halfway through, it's like, I don't want to do this. I just couldn't see myself every single day for the rest of my life covering news. So I always loved sports, and I thought, instead, let me veer off and turn to sports journalism. And at the time, it wasn't really something that most universities back in the day were really teaching you. Yes, so you learned the fundamentals of how to write, to be a journalist, and then you took those skills and you adapted them for sports. And it led me to embark on a career for 8 years as a sports journalist. Coordinated the coverage of 2 Olympics, covered boxing for 8 years, eventually became a managing editor and news director of a sports wire service, and I did a heck of a lot. But I definitely didn't want to do hard news per se every single day. Little did I know that the sports world would turn into covering, drug busts, cocaine fueled binges by players, and allegations of payoffs involving agents, players, etc. Hell, I started covering jury trials more often than the events that were going on in the field. But again, getting into gambling, it offered a respite from all that because this is fun and games. And I've enjoyed it in the past 20 years. Now, yesterday, there I am with the biggest play of my career going again in the NFL. The first 30-dime release of my in the NFL that I had in nearly 2 years, and it was on the Cowboys. But as I'm watching that game yesterday, of course, the news broke about that latest horrific tragedy that was unfolding outside of San Antonio, Texas. And I couldn't watch the game because, I was watching CNN like so many others out there and seeing what was going on again with that tragedy outside of San Antonio, Texas. And, as a father who has a 22-year-old son out there who's embarking on his own life and will eventually have his own family, growing up, you always taught and you instilled in your children nowadays, to stay out of harm's way. But unfortunately, nowadays, harm finds you. And it doesn't matter the color of your skin, your ethnic background, your political or your religious affiliations. There's good and there's bad in people. And that's the bottom line in this world that we live in. But again, you can't stay out of harm's way because harm, unfortunately, just finds you. Last week, it was in a street in New York City by some lunatic that decides to run down people. Yesterday, it was some lunatic walking into a church and gunning down innocent people. And tomorrow it'll be someplace else in another corner of this world by another deranged person for some reason who decides to take out innocent people. And it just sucks. And that's the world we live in. So again, I'm sitting there yesterday. The game was inconsequential because this again, is just the candy store in life that we deal with. And that's why I always say that, yes, we are betting money and we want to win, but okay, it's gambling. There's no guarantees. And if I had lost that play on the Cowboys today, I would have been here just like today. And it's also the reason I say I don't celebrate the wins. I don't lament the losses because today is another day and I move forward. Tonight, Packers are playing the Lions. Really don't have a sense for that game. I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to give you my free selection on it, just like last Monday. I didn't really care for the game between the Chiefs and the Broncos. I gave you an in-depth preview. I gave you my selection. I gave away the Chiefs for free, and I'm going to give you my play on the Lions and the Packers for free here in just a moment. Just like last Monday, I thought the best bet last Monday night happened to be in the NBA and gave you the Golden State Warriors, who won by about 150 points at LA. I think the best bet tonight is a game between the Phoenix Suns and the New Jersey Nets. Quality teams? Absolutely not. But I do think it's the best bet, and it's another top-rated 15-dime release for yours truly. And these 15-dime best bets in the NBA, I'm what? 103, 76, and 3 with them, going back to the 2009 season, hitting 3 out of 4 last week, and it happens to be half price today, and that coupon code is HOOPS. Before I get to football, though, let me just say again, and this is something that if we got all of us together in the room, it would be a divided discourse in terms of who would agree with me and who would not. And you would argue tooth and nail about this. And I'm talking once again about the value of buying the half point on certain games. I am always encouraging you to buy the half point when that line crosses 3, 4, 7, even sometimes 10. I think it's the single most important move from a financial standpoint that you can make, a move that certainly has made me more money, but perhaps saved me more money than any other single bit of strategy that I can employ over the years. Yet, 50% of you out there would absolutely disagree with me. And for what reasons? I certainly have never understood why. And yet, yesterday, if you were to look at a couple of the games, Miami and Oakland last night, earlier in the day, the game between Baltimore and Tennessee. Listen, you could be sitting there today going, oh, okay, I walked away with the push on the games. Or if you had any of those four teams and you bought the half point, you could be looking at the win. Personally, why not look with the win than walking away with the push? And what would it have cost you? An extra 20 cents on the dollar. And I'll use the same exact logic that I've used for the last 20 years and encouraging you to do so. If this was the middle of July and I told you that you could bet, name the team, any team in baseball, and you were betting a favorite of minus $1.35, would you complain about it? No. So yesterday, if I told you, hey, bet $1.30 or $1.35, an extra 20 cents perhaps on a dollar to go ahead and buy that half point down or up, depending on which side you were on in those games, why wouldn't you? Oh, hey, yesterday, listen, the Cowboys game with me, I got them at 2.5. Some places, we won't mention those sports books out there that always charge you more because they're big and they can afford to do so and they rip you off when you're betting the favorites. A couple of those sports books, the Cowboys were 3-point favorites yesterday, which is criminal, which is why I also encourage you to always have alternate choices. Those sports books, you would have had to buck down to half point. Now, in those cases yesterday, it didn't apply. It didn't cost you anything more. But let's say it would have had to come into play. Guys, again, in certain cases where it comes into play, isn't it worth spending the money? But again, if I put you all in a room, it would be divided right down the middle and who agrees with me and who doesn't. But again, I've never understood that principle. Okay, in terms of who's got the big play tonight on the game, Chris Jordan, he won again yesterday. 2,000 star, 9th ever W wager 2,000 star NFL release of his 35-year career. And who was it? Jacksonville taking care of business against Cincinnati yesterday. And you got it at a discounted price. Today, going for winning day number 7 out of 8 since last Monday. $1 bettors have won a little over $8,000. Going back to last November, $1 bettors up over $57,000. Tonight, the 10th ever W wager 2,000 star NFL release. In his 35-year career, it's Green Bay. Detroit matches yesterday's winner on Jacksonville. Twice as strong as his 1,000-star winner on the Super Bowl on the Patriots. Twice as strong as his 1,000-star winner on Washington State out right over Stanford on Saturday. Matches his 2,000-star NBA W wager winner number 25 out of 33 on Indiana over Sacramento last Tuesday. Need I say more? He's going for winning day number 7 out of 8. And it's the half price play of the day in the NFL by using coupon code Chris. By the way, in the NFL, $1 bettors going back to last season have won $15,400. Now, let me give you my take on this particular game. So, obviously, we have Brett Hundley going here for the Packers. In one start and a big-time relief role since Aaron Rodgers got hurt. What has he done? How about 4 interceptions and 58 pass plays? Not exactly encouraging numbers, right? Now, the one thing that's very interesting here is that the Packers have suddenly developed a ground game. They found the 5th-round draft pick out of Texas El Paso, Aaron Jones, and he's run for 297 yards in the last 3 games. Now, the problem is the Detroit Lions are very tough against the run. They have the number 6 run defense coming into this weekend's action, giving up just 91.6 yards a game. Remember, they held Le'Veon Bell of the Steelers in check, right, just last week. They've allowed only 2 teams to break over 90 yards rushing in a single game this season. But this is a Packers team that averaged 27 points a game the first 5 games. They scored a total of 27 points in the last 2 games. Now, you look at this Detroit offense. It's offensive. That's the problem. This is a Detroit offense that just gets bogged down once it reaches the red zone. They should have beaten the Steelers last week. Problem is, they had to settle for 5 field goals because they went 0 for 5 in the red zone. Matthew Stafford had a season high 423 yards last week against the Steelers. But again, when you have to settle for field goals and you can't get the job done in the red zone, that's an issue. But you knew there was a but coming. But you got a Green Bay Packers defense that coming into this weekend's action is ranked 30th in the league in terms of red zone defense. They allow opponents to score touchdowns on 74% of their red zone possessions. You have a Green Bay Packers defense that coming into this weekend was tied for 29th in the league with just 12 sacks on the season. You have a Green Bay Packers defense that allows opposing quarterbacks to complete 66.5% of their pass attempts. That leaves them ranked 28th in the league. So I think those are some positive numbers if you're thinking about Matthew Stafford here. A lot of people will say, okay, the Packers have had that bye week. That's giving Mike McCarthy an opportunity to get that offense fine-tuned, giving Brett Hundley an opportunity to really get in sync with the Packers offense. Hold it, what, did they sign Brett Hundley off the street just a couple weeks ago? He's been Aaron Rodgers' caddy for a couple of years. It's not like they threw him to the wolves just a couple of weeks ago. It's not like he just, hey, we took you out of, Lambeau Field, section number 12. Come on down, take over for quarterback. I mean, you would think Brett Hundley had never seen the offense the Packers have been running here. Okay, he's not a classic drop-back quarterback in the mold of Aaron Rodgers. But my goodness, how pathetic has he looked? Okay, he was always going to be a project because even coming out of UCLA, this is a guy that a lot of people had questions. A great athlete, good legs, not a great passer, not a consistent passer, big arm, good legs, but question marks in terms of whether or not he could be an NFL-style quarterback. Were the Packers leading the Saints in the fourth quarter before collapsing in their last game, losing 26-17 at home? Yes, they were. Did they look awful when Hundley took over for the injured Rodgers in the Minnesota loss? Yes, they did. Have the Lions struggled offensively all season long? Can the Lions run the ball? No. But I'll tell you what, if I got to play this game tonight, I got to lay the 2 points and go ahead with the Lions in this contest. This is a must-win for Detroit. And I like the Lions here because until the Packers show me anything offensively, yeah, they've got the wide receivers. They have a rejuvenated ground game. But until they solve the question mark at quarterback, and it's a big question mark, you simply can't get my money. So I've got to go and ride the Lions in this one and take a flyer on Detroit. Detroit is going to be my play tonight. Good luck, everybody, and talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.